So you kind of touched on something that I think it's always interesting, which is like pilots or testing things out before like
Yeah.
a portfolio rollout. So when you think about pilots, like where does everyone go wrong when they think about implementing technology and they start with a pilot?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there's a natural, understandable reaction to be like, hey, why don't we just try this a little bit at one property and see how it goes? There are a couple things that are wrong with that. One, it usually means you just skip the whole process we just talked about because it's low commitment. It's like, I'm not going to get anybody involved in how we should do these kinds of things. I'm not going to actually make sure we do it. We just be like, let's launch the software and see what happens by itself. And change management in an organization doesn't happen by itself. It's the exact opposite, right? It reverts to its mean by itself. So that can be a problem if there's not an investment or a commitment from sort of like someone with an, use the term executive sponsor or whoever that might be to be able to drive it. The second thing is you end up setting up standard operating procedures for the way they do things at that one property. And then you go out and roll it out across the other properties. And they're like, we don't do it that way. Why did you run it up that way? And you don't actually identify which ones are portfolio-wide standard operating procedures and which ones are the ones that we just do it that way and which ones are the ones that we do because they're in a different climate than this one. So we don't need to salt the steps for ice in Florida, it just doesn't happen. Or there isn't a boiler that's down there, right? The same way there might be in Chicago, whatever it might be, on any of those kind of pieces. So you can get false things where you have standard operating procedures that are exactly the opposite of standard operating procedures. You take the codified way they run things at this one, urban multifamily, there's on-site maintenance, and you push it out to the actual sprawling residential communities that they have in a different area completely, and it's just not the right thing to do at the same time. If you don't think about that up front, you'll miss it. And then the third one is like selecting a vendor that doesn't support them, right? And that goes back to the thing we try and do as much as possible, which is we're here to help you out, not just the beginning, but throughout the entire, commitment.